Do not think in your heart that if you reject or keep rejecting Yahweh's call, an invitation for you to follow him where he's calling you to, which is into the dark, so that the light can go and shine, and so that the captives can be set free, that you'll indeed be spared from the times of trouble to come that are already here. For a long time, Christians have lived in a delusion. They've said to themselves, well, when the tribulation begins, Jacob's trouble, we won't be here for it. We'll be taken away, we'll be caught up into the clouds, and those who are unrighteous and the wicked, the foolish virgins, will be left behind. And they'll have to go through everything because we're not destined to wrath. Well, there's difference between righteous correction and wrath. For the Lord corrects those whom he loves. Even presently, we're always corrected righteously because everything that the Lord does is just. So I put up a post just now that has nothing to do with this word, but as soon as I put it up, the Lord spoke to me. And he said, my people should not think in their hearts that if they remain silent, that trouble will not come close to them. And so I knew the Lord was speaking about Esther 4:13-14. Mordecai's warning to Queen Esther. So I'm going to read that quickly. So it says, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you'll escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain silent completely at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Now, I know many people don't like me here. And that's okay, because I don't preach to be liked. I don't prophesy to be liked. I do it because it's the truth. And the truth will set you free. And here's the truth right now. The church is still taking life easily. There's a friend of mine that I used to love very much that unfortunately is no longer my friend. And there's a beverage here in South Africa called Castle Lager. And he used to crack a joke and say coloureds, right? Because that's what we called when you're mixed race in South Africa. Coloureds are still taking life easily. Well, I would like to remix that today. Not because I'm, attributing this to him, but I would like to say Christians are still taking life easily. Because people are being called to be different things in the body of Christ. As we know, the Apostle Paul speaks on how, the body is full of elements, different elements, fingers, noses, eyes, ears, etc., right? But every part has to connect with the other so that it can function fully. And the reason why there hasn't been a revival for so long is because the church isn't functioning fully. There's no unity, thus God can't give a blessing because God is a God of order. And he will not send rain before people are aligned in the upper room to receive it. So we have people who have been called into deeper levels, but they don't want because that requires them to leave things behind. That requires them to offend other people, not by doing anything offensive to them, but just by speaking the truth. That requires them to walk away from family, friends, brothers, sisters. That requires them even to leave their congregations to become wilderness preachers, teachers, evangelists, and prophets. But no, that's a cost too harsh for them because they're in the comfort of their palaces, which in context with this word that I'm sharing with you guys today is their lives. The palace is symbolic for your personal life. Esther was comfortable in the palace. She had been risen up by who? By the Lord. But it got to a place where her calling, her real purpose, needed to rise and shine in a time where there was darkness in the land. Perilous times had come upon them, and God had risen her up to be the Deborah of that generation, to be the Moses, the Zaphaneth Paneah of that generation. But it took some stern, harsh words from Mordecai, which the Lord for sure placed in his spirit to go and tell Esther that if you don't rise up, not only will you not also fall with the rest of us, but you'll have to watch and witness someone else rising up in your position that you had been called into, the very chair that you're sitting into right now. Many of you are sitting on your anointing. Your mantle is supposed to be on your shoulders. What is it doing on your backside? Too many of you are too scared to trust the Lord at deeper levels. But yet Christians are so quick to mock and scoff those who are truly trying their best to prepare the way, to give others confidence, to lay down their lives so that they can find it again. But people want to find their lives, not knowing that that's exactly what's going to destroy their lives. And I'll tell you why. Because many people are in Luke chapter 14, 26 to 30 right now. This is when Jesus is preaching about the cost of discipleship. And he says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Everyone is quick to say, I'm a child of God. Well, where's the fruit? Where's the sacrifice? The church is filled with false prophets. The church is filled with wannabes. The church is filled with souls, people who are called by other people. But funny enough, the church is conforming to that way of life. People are saying, oh, well, I wasn't anointed by the church. I wasn't called by the church. I didn't go to Bible school. I didn't do all this. So it means that I'm not really needed at that high level. Yeah, you know the Lord is calling you into a high level. Night after night, as per Job 32, the Lord keeps giving you dreams and visions on the things you need to do. He keeps giving you the blueprint, but you keep sleeping on it because you don't want to be in discomfort. Because you're enjoying your life in the palace, not knowing that they're coming to take siege of the palace. And if they find you in there, you die too. Your purpose will die in the midst of the tribulation if you don't rise up to be the first fruits that the Lord is calling you to be. And so it says, and whoever does not bear his cross, come after me, cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see him begin to mock, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. You know, if there's something I've learned, everyone wants to boast about being loved and chosen by the Lord. But hey, is the Lord boasting about how you are giving up this? About how you are going and giving up that? About how you've walked away from worldly things? About how you've sacrificed family ties because they weren't willing to follow the Lord the way you're willing to follow the Lord? So some of you are not even realizing these people that you're holding on to are the very death of you. Because God can't take you to the next level when you're still holding on to these people. Listen, child of God, you were born alone. Salvation can only come through Christ. And if they're not willing to raise up the standard, if they're not willing to hop onto the bar, then you got to hop away from them. Most of you, you look and you say, oh, I can't wait for the Lord to speak to me. I can't wait for the Lord to show me what to do. And the Lord comes and he tells you what to do. The Lord comes and he appears before you. He speaks to you. He encounters you. But then you say, oh, Lord, if you truly love me, why are you making my life so difficult? But you're saying you want to find your purpose, and the Lord is saying, well, this is your purpose in me. The problem is that the church is in denial. They don't want to accept that these are the days we're living in. These are the days of Elijah. Malachi 4:5. Before that great and terrible day, I'll send Elijah the prophet to prepare the way and turn their hearts of people back to me. Lest I come and I smite them, I beg your pardon, with a curse, with judgment. And what many of you don't understand is that if you don't rise up right now, Ezekiel 34 becomes your reality. The people you're supposed to reach, that God is supposed to appoint to your mantle, to your calling, to your ministry, to your apostleship, their blood will be on your hands if you do not go out there and obey the word of the Lord. It's not about us, brothers and sisters. That's another thing I've been seeing throughout the years. Everyone wants to worry about their salvation alone. But once you become a disciple, you are supposed to go make disciples out of others as Jesus told them. That's why he even washed their feet to prove to them that this is the way to go. I serve you, you go serve others in this manner, in humility, with righteous zealousness, with fire. Because that's how you tear the devil's kingdom down. So I want to go to Matthew 22, the parable of the banquet, because this is a continuation from what happened in the story of Esther. Because the reality is this: many are called, few are chosen. Vashti was called, but she didn't make it anymore because she wasn't willing to obey what the king wanted her to do. And we know in that story, Yhwh'S is, that's a foreshadow of what Yhwh'S does with his church. When you're disobedient, a disobedience, friends, will cost you your calling, like it did King Saul. Disobedience will cost you a kingdom. Because not only did King Saul cost himself, he cost his lineage, my brothers and sisters. His house fell with him, his kids fell with him. And those who survived, oh my goodness, his daughter Michal couldn't even have kids. She was barren for life. That talks about the spiritual reality. The anointing will never overflow in your family because of your disobedience. Because of your pride. Because of your unwillingness to follow what the Lord is commanding you to do. His other sons were lame. They fought for a kingdom that was long taken away from them, stripped from their father. So people after you guys keep fighting and trying to hold on to things that the Lord has not ordained. So let's go into that. It says, once again, Jesus spoke to them in parables. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to call those he had invited to the banquet, but they refused to come. Again, he sent other servants and said, tell those who have been invited, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fattened cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet. Come into my presence. Accept my invitation, because the oil is ready, the meat is ready, the bread is ready, the wine is ready, the overflow is ready, the latter rains are ready. Just obey and receive. And it says, but they paid no attention and went away, one to his own field, one to another business. They went back to their palaces, to the comforts of their life. You think about Paul and the church of Corinthians in 1 Corinthians 12, or is it 13? When he speaks to them and he says, you guys are already kings dwelling in palaces, but do not think to yourself that you are better than us. Because Yahweh has made us the apostles and the disciples, the least of all men, the refuse of the earth, a spectacle amongst men and amongst angels. The church has got this whole thing wrapped around the wrong way. Elevation, my brothers and sisters, means isolation. In sporting terms, elevation means relegation. You go down before you come up again. You are humbled, you are humiliated, you are shamed, you're ridiculed, you're mocked before you rise in glory, before you glorify, because the Lord must test you. He must make sure that your mind has been conformed to the things of the kingdom of God. That you are indeed that servant that's seeking righteousness and justice, knowing that everything else is going to be given unto thee. And even when that promise manifests, you're not worried because you know it's kingdom related. But still today, many of you are worried about buying fancy houses, buying fancy cars. You're worried about the wrong things and you wonder why you're stagnant. You wonder why now you're beginning to become like Joseph's brothers, envying the ones who are rising up, who obey and fear their father, who do what is just and honorable in their father's sight, regardless of the offense that it brings to their brothers, because that's what Joseph did. They only hated him and envied him not because of the dreams, but because he showed them the ways of the Lord. He showed them righteousness and justice. He showed them the fear of the Lord, something they didn't have, something they didn't want to exercise and practice in their lives, for they didn't love the Lord with their hearts. So why will the Lord part to those who don't love him? Why would he give to you what he wants to give to you when you don't submit to him? When you don't answer and his invitation, when you reject it and be like Vashti and be disobedient and proudful because you think you can serve God according to your own standards. Some of you say, hey, what do you mean I go to church on Sunday? I give my tithes and offerings and then I go home and that's it. And then I go to a cell group on Wednesday and every now and again I go on YouTube and you know, I listen to sermons. I don't sin against anybody. I don't do this. Lies. Everyone's a sinner. But what you're doing is that you are taking things lightly. You are bearing your talents because the devil has wrapped you with the spirit of fear. He's wrapped you up with his serpent's coils and you can't move, you can't breathe because you're too scared to know how life is going to be when you become a child again. Matthew 18 verses 5. The kingdom of heaven is like these children. You have to become a child again to really know what the power of God is. Because when you're a child, you ask permission from your parent to do everything. It's called counting the cost. It's been conformed to the ways of God, understanding his character. Understanding that we have to come low with fear and trembling and serve him at his feet with alabaster oil, knowing that he will pour the oil of Psalm 23 over us. For when we go into the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, because he will give us his rod in our hands to comfort us, to deliver us. So listen to what it says. So it says the rest seized his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. Aren't we seeing that in the church today? I'm a testimony of that, how people have seized me, how people have wished that we don't continue prospering in the work of the Lord. And that's just the truth. Actions always prove why words mean nothing. Although you come and show pure intentions, you come and show people that you're dying to the flesh, that you've lost everything, that you've indeed been counting the cost and encouraging others to do the same. But people hate that. Because now people have to see what they have to do too. And because they're unwilling, then they say, well, we'll turn against him because he's exposed something that we're not ready to do. Is that not the truth? Was that not why Miriam and Aaron turned against Moses and looked for an excuse to justify their disobedience to him? Oh, you've married a Gentile woman. These are not the ways of the Lord. Has the Lord only spoken through you, Moses? And what happened? Miriam was stricken with leprosy. And she had to be put out for how many days? For 7 days. You see, some of you are not even supposed to be in the tribulation for 7 years. You've been called to be a first fruit. You've been called to rise out of the comforts of your palace and rise up for your people. Knowing if I perish and I perish, if I go before the Lord and something happens to me, then I perish. Because what does the Apostle Paul say to us? To be present with the Lord, great. And to be absent with him, great. It's a win-win on both ends, because when you die in your calling and when you die in your purpose, you're not worried about when the Lord is returning. You're not worried about when the rapture will come to pass. You only know that you are safe because you're within his will. So it says, verse 7, the king was enraged, sent his troops to destroy those murderers and burnt their city. Friends, I always tell you guys, murder is a hot thing. What did Jesus say? A murderer murders from the heart. Once he's said in his heart, once he's thought in his heart, he's already a murderer. The prophets are being murdered spiritually. Verses 8, then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited were not worthy. They were not ready. They were unwilling to be uncomfortable. They hated growth. They desired comfort. They mocked and scoffed at struggles, trials, and tribulations. They said these things will not come close to us. Go read Lamentations 1 when Jeremiah says, bring on the day you have promised, Lord, and do to them as you have done to me, so that they may know that your hand has done this. You see, you may laugh and scoff at those who are truly giving up their lives, at those who have become a spectacle towards man and both angels. But guess what? That day will come upon you. It's better for that day to come upon you when you're in the Lord's will than when you're out of it. So it says, go therefore to the crossroads and invite to the banquet as many as you find. So the servants went out into the streets and gathered everyone they could find, both evil and good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Go therefore to the crossroads. Go into the world now. Go into the highways. Just call anybody, okay? Because, hey, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And the few that are supposed to be gathering up, the few that are really anointed to be first fruits, to be my Marines and go and prepare the way in Guatemala Canal, they want to stay at home. They're too worried about their families. They're too worried about how much money is in their bank account. They're too worried about offending people with the truth, because I told my people I'm coming to divide because I come with a sword. Go call others. Others who don't even know a thing, but who are willing to become children in my sight, so that I can teach them. For I know they will bow down and worship me at my feet. I know they will ask me, Lord, what side of the bed should I sleep on? Lord, what time should I rise? Lord, where should I go? They will ask me, Lord, where should I go? For I'll follow you wherever you tell me to go. So it says the servants went out and gathered everyone they could find, both evil and good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he spotted a man who was not dressed in wedding clothes. He said, friend, he asked, how did you get here without wedding clothes? The man was speechless. You see, Jesus says you can only enter through one door, which is him. If you try to enter through any other door, that person's a thief. So now many people are trying to enter through another door, perhaps through works alone. But faith without works is dead. They go hand in hand. So it's not enough that you go to church on Sunday. It's not enough that you're a good husband or you're a good wife. The Lord doesn't desire sacrifice. He desires obedience. Come on, someone. He desires that you do what he's telling you to do. That's what he desires. For anyone can go and give fat and cattle and oxen and sacrifices and wine and stuff. But how many can truly give obedience? How many can give the Lord their hearts? That's what he's looking for. So, verses 13 says, then the king told the servants, tie him hand and foot, and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. Wasn't that just a Esther Vashti situation? Vashti now having to watch a Gentile whose lineage wasn't even known to them, because remember, she wasn't Hadassah. She was Esther of Susa, right? So an unknown person taken from the highways, but one who was willing to lose her life to find it again. One who was willing to rise up to the call. One who was willing to accept the invitation of the Lord, understanding that the Lord is the one, according to Deuteronomy 8, who makes our hands to prosper, who causes our hands to prosper. I'm not talking about physical things, I'm talking about spiritual things. Psalm 127, unless the laborers build with the Lord, they build in vain. How many of you today are building in vain? How many of you are thinking that you're walking in your purpose, yet whatever you're doing it in vain, because you're not doing what the Lord is telling you to do? And you think that on the day when you appear before him, you'll say, but Lord, I did this. What do you think Jesus says? In that day, they'll say, Lord, I prophesied in your name. Lord, I preached. Lord, I did this. Lord, I did this. And the Lord will say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I do not know you. Because people do according to what they want to do and not what the Father is telling them to do. They go where they want to go, but not where the Father is telling them to go. And the Apostle Paul says, call, serve as you have been called. Because that's the will of the Father for your life. So friends, today I just want to say to many of you out there, let this foolish behavior stop. Let's rise up. People like us are needing you. We're crying out there. Why are we shunning what is good and supporting what's evil just because we don't want to offend people? Who are we? Is that not buckling to the pressure of the world? Is that not fearing the enemy? What does Jesus say? Don't fear the one that can destroy your flesh, because God will give him permission as he did with Job. But fear the one who can destroy your flesh and your soul and throw it into hell, into the eternal flame. Friends, it's time to consider our ways. It's time to rise up in this hour. But I leave it with you. Every man has a choice. Every woman has a choice. I just hope that everyone accepts the call. And for those of you who are really walking truly with the Lord and giving up everything, look, your labors are certainly not in vain. For the Lord will multiply, he promised, times 100-fold in this time and in the life after, right? There are few who are truly laying down their lives. We are a dying breed. We need help. When we tell some of the people the lives we live, they're astonished by how we even live like this. I was talking to the owners of this place I'm in, and I was explaining that, do you know the last time I saw my family? Do you know the last time I spoke to my family? Do you know the last time I met up with friends? Do you know the last time I just had any sort of normalcy in my life? And people will think we are crazy, but we are called fools for Christ's sake. So rise up to who you truly are. Esther was just a season of preparation. Hadassah is your season of elevation. For Hadassah is the one who says, Esther, I came to the wilderness to be prepared. I came to the wilderness to hide. I came to the wilderness to know the ways of the Lord. But now, for me to make my way in front of the people and lead the people, I need to be Hadassah. I need to be the person I was truly anointed and called to be. The season of hide and seek is over, brothers and sisters. It's time to come out and play. And if you die, you die. Many are scared of martyrdom. Many think, it's not going to happen in our day. It's going to happen in our day. The world has been given over to the king of Babylon. Wake up and smell the coffee. Time is up. Time is short. And right now we are being weighed in the Libra scales. So what will you do? Will you die in your calling? Or will you rise up and fulfill the purpose that you've been called to fulfill? That you've been anointed for? It's never going to be easy. It's never going to be comfortable. Forget it and smile. You'll never have any form of normalcy in your life. You won't even control your own life. But if God is for you, who can be against you? If God is for you, what can man do to you? The very men you guys feel offended and bringing the truth to. So that's it for now. I hope everyone receives this word as it's meant to be received. Those who are not mature enough to receive a harsh word, I'm sorry for you. And I just hope that you'll rise up in your faith and stop taking life easily as a Christian. Shalom.